It's exactly like here. Peace-loving people looking for their freedoms back. And that is awesome to see that all of Canada is starting to stand up. And even the police officers over here, you can hear me, Brian Dennison speaking. We welcome you as well. What is awesome is I've had police officers reaching out to me since, and there are more and more and more thinking the way we think and standing on our side. So that is incredible, and I think we need to be thankful for when they come over. When they see the light, doesn't matter how long it takes for anybody, when they see what we're doing, that we're standing up for everyone's freedoms, that's what we got to do. Welcome them with warm arms, hugs, everything. We need to welcome everybody over when they decide that our freedoms are what to fight for. So where's George? Are they here yet? I got a couple people I want to introduce, but I'll keep talking till they show up. So when they do come, a couple friends of mine, I think you'll be very impressed with who they are. How many people here have been down here more than once? Holy cow. How many people are actually staying here? That's even better. Wow. If I had a truck, I'd be here too. How many people went to Ottawa? Yay, I did. It was a heck of a drive, 40 hours straight, but we did it anyway. So I just want to, again, thank you for all you have done. I want to thank the truckers for what they did in uniting Canada. You guys did something that I didn't think could happen, and you united everybody. And the way you guys stand strong here, I bow to you. Unbelievable. Thank you so much. So I don't think they're here yet, but I'm going to introduce George Bears. He's going to come up and speak to you a little bit, and then I'll come back up and just introduce a few other people that would love to speak with you.
Thank you, Brian. Let's hear it for Brian Dennison, 24 years with the Calgary Police Service. I've deeply respected the years that Brian has served as a police officer. Brian's been a friend of mine for more than 30 years. And Brian finally got to the place where the very oath that he took when he decided to serve and protect, when he graduated from Silverberg's class, he realized that that very oath is being abrogated by the actions of our government, forcing police to do things that are not constitutional and they're unlawful. So I just have enormous respect for Brian Dennison, Danny Bulford, Rick Scott, and others that are taking a stand. And I say the same thing that Brian said to the police that are serving here today. We stand with you. And we just ask that you stand by the oath that you took, and you stand for the Constitution and the Charter of Rights of Canada. My name is George Bears, and back in September, myself and Roy Byer, we saw some things terribly wrong, and we knew that we needed to do something. So we got together, did our research, and we founded an organization called Taking Back Our Freedoms, tbof.ca. And we're very thankful for the enormous support we've had across the country, and met some of the finest people I've ever met in my life in the last 6 months, including Dr. Lana Nickel from St. Albert, Alberta. And we just love you, Lana. Thank you for all you're doing for the cause of freedom. And Brian Dennison joined our board of advisors back in mid-December. And we also have Corporal Danny Bulford, who used to serve as a sharpshooter, and he's protected more than one prime minister, Harper and Trudeau. And then last fall, he knew he couldn't stand to do that anymore by doing the unlawful mandates, and he left the RCMP and he's joined our board of advisors. As I'm speaking to you today, our chairman of the board, is on the main stage in Parliament Hill in Ottawa. And that's the only living First Minister who was there back in 1982, and they formed a Gang of 8. New Brunswick and Ontario opted out, and the other 8 provinces stood with Premier Brian Peckford of Newfoundland to go against Justin Trudeau's dad, Pierre Trudeau, and fought tooth and nail. He was the chair of the Gang of 8, and he helped to bring home our Charter of Rights and Freedoms and our Constitution. He's nearly 80 years old now, and he and his wife, Carol, they work tirelessly 6 days a week, 14 hours a day. And today he's speaking on Parliament Hill for the very document that he was a signatory to back in 1982. And he's declaring to Prime Minister Trudeau and all of our premiers in the country that they are causing an unlawful act with these mandates, because the Supreme Court, the Constitution is the supreme law of the land. And any court that looks at making decisions, they want to know what the original intent is. There's one man in this country who was a signatory to be able to explain that original intent, and that's our chairman of the board for taking back our freedoms, and we will always refer to him as the Honorable Premier Brian Peckford. Let's hear it for Premier Peckford. We want to honor the truckers and the farmers and the farm machinery and the horses and everything else that rides, everything else that can cause disruption in our highway. We're not causing blockades. We're doing a peaceful protest. And I honor these peaceful protests that are currently happening in Sarnia, Ontario, and Windsor, Ontario, and the bridge going across to Detroit, and the amazing work that the truckers are doing in Ottawa, what the truckers are doing here in Coutts, Alberta. I spoke to a friend in San Diego who used to run the Reagan Coalition, and he said this is the most amazing show of support for freedom in our lifetime. And we salute. We take our hats off to the truckers. We take our hats off to the ranchers. We take our hats off to freedom. We take our hats off to everyone who's providing food here, and diesel fuel, and water, and everything else that's necessary. I've never seen such a united Canada. We're united under one thing, and what is that? Freedom! What unites us? Freedom! Freedom! And what are we doing? We're taking back our freedoms. Join me in that. We're taking back our freedoms. We're taking back our freedoms. We're taking back our freedoms. A couple of things I want to say in closing. People are wondering, where do we go once the mandates end? Is that V-Day? No, it's not. It's going to be a very good day, but it's not V-Day. Like these truckers know, they know what a long haul is. And we are in for a long haul. I believe we're about to get our first victory soon. We believe it will be in a matter of weeks that every single province in this country, including the federal government with Transport Canada, will be removing the mandates. But let me be very clear. Taking back our freedoms is not in here for the short haul. We're in here for the long haul. And let me be very clear. There's two things that have been very obvious over the last 6 months, in particular, over the last 2 years for sure, the last 6 months that we've seen since we've been engaged. And that is, we have not, and I know you could say the same thing, we have never met so many wonderful, courageous Canadians from every walk of life. From Dr. Paul Alexander to Dr. Roger Hodkinson to Dr. Lana Nickel to the truckers to the people serving here today, people from all walks of life. Even Lana's son and her dad and his dad playing soccer here last night. That just moves my heart. We're seeing a united Canada of people who stand for freedom. And that's wonderful. God bless you all. But there's another thing that we're seeing. This issue is not just about the 10 premiers and the territorial ministers and the Prime Minister of Canada and their cabinets and the elected officials. There's some courageous MLAs like Todd Lowen and others that have come forward. But here's the other side of the coin. When are we free? Well, we're free for the short term when the mandate's in. But when are we really free? And let me speak to that for a moment. The other thing that we've seen over the last 6 to 24 months is who has been absent, who has been against us. And it's not just the politicians. Where are the union bosses? I can tell you where they are. They're married to the globalists. They've abrogated their responsibility. Where are the union bosses for the police service, for the fire service, for all the QP, the Canadian Unions of Public Employees? They've sold out to the globalists, and they need to be held accountable. I never happened to vote NDP, but I've got friends who have, and I don't agree with their politics, but I respect their position because I respect all Canadians. But I would say the next time you go to the voting poll, ask where were your union bosses? The other thing, what about the Conservatives? I'm calling out people like Michelle Rempel and others who are a part of the World Economic Forum. And let me be very clear. When your member of parliament or your elected officials or people that are over you at the municipal level, if they're part of the World Economic Forum, if they're part of supporting George Soros and his group, or Bill Gates and his group, or the big tech, then they're not standing for freedom. They're not standing for Canada, and we need to change out those people. My favorite book has 66 chapters. Thank you. Thank you. So when is it over? It's over when we, the people of Canada and the people of the US and the people in over 40 countries now who are doing convoys because of the courage of these ranchers with their equipment, these truckers with their tractor trailers. It's an international movement now. And this international movement, every one of those precious countries are fighting for freedom in New Zealand and in Australia and in Poland and in Germany and all over the world, in Israel. But here's what we all are standing up against. Not just our politicians, not just the union bosses, but we're taking a stand, and I need a cheer if you're going to stand with us for Canada and against the World Economic Forum. Anyone who's in Michelle Rempel's constituency in Calgary, Alberta, I used to support her, but she's a young leader of the World Economic Forum. You either stand for the World Economic Forum or you stand for Canada. You can't stand for both. And if you're standing with the globalists, if you're standing with Nike, if you're standing with the globalists, I'm all for international trade. But I'm for supporting the nation that we are a true north, strong and free. And we need to stand for Canada. I'm all for global travel, but we need to make, this is the country. We need to say to the Costco's and the Walmarts who made record profits in the last years, maybe we need to do a convoy in their parking lots. We're not going to take it any longer. So in my closing remarks, I'll simply say this. God bless us when we finish the mandates. That's phase one. But continue in the fight. As General Patton said in the Second World War, when we finish the mandates, what are we going to do? Advance, advance, advance. Hear me. Advance, advance, advance. Why are we advancing? We're taking back our freedoms. Taking back our freedoms. Taking back our freedoms. And finally, when when we, as a country, start growing gross domestic product, GDP in our own communities, and saying no to Costco, saying no, tear up your Costco memberships. Who cares about a little cheaper gas? They want to own you. They want to be run by China. They want passports in this country, and so does Walmart, and so do many of the other globalists. Say no to the World Economic Forum. Educate yourself. I just had to educate myself in the last 6 months of the evils of the World Economic Forum. We need to stop it, and we can win. We have an opportunity now to take this all the way. And the final thing I'll say, when I was coming down here today, the other thing that will show us that we've won this victory. I spent 5 years in the Canadian criminal justice system 30 years ago, from 86 to 91. And I had the privilege of spearheading Canada's first and only ever national unsolved homicide project. And I can tell you, I've spoken to some families like Cheryl Moberly out in Prince Albert, Saskatchewan, whose 39-year-old daughter died as a result of the vax. Her name is Jolene. I've spoken to Dan Hartman, a trucker in Barrie, Ontario, whose 17-year-old son on August 25th last summer, really good hockey player, worked out just like my son's worked out all summer so he could play hockey last fall. And he took the vax so he could play hockey in the fall. He took the vax at 17 years old without telling his dad on the 25th of August, and on the 27th of September, he died. I spoke in Parliament Hill on the 31st of January, 2 weeks ago, and it should have been Sean Hartman's 18th birthday. And I've asked for one moment of silence. And I said, after that moment of silence, I want to hear the cheers and I want to hear the truckers' horns, because those truckers' horns are like church bells. Those truckers' horns are like church bells. And I would just ask you this day, before I ask for that moment, to remember Sean Hartman and Jolene and the thousands of others that I'm now finding out about. Here's where we know we've won. When we've pushed back on the globalists, and Canada's number one. When we push back on the globalists in Israel and Germany and Switzerland and all those countries have their freedom back. They're helping us fight. They're inspired by our truckers and our ranchers. We're going to help them. And I'll simply say this. We now are about to start the largest criminal investigation in my lifetime. I never knew in the early 90s that the experience I would have. That's me. I never knew in the early 90s the experience that I would have, because I'm not a police officer. I have huge respect for what Brian Dennison and others have done. But I found a 15-year-old in 85. She'd been brutally murdered by a guy out in a day pass, stabbed 18 times. And I dedicated the next 5 years of my life to these issues. And if there's something I do understand how to do, is put the right teams together with police and doctors to get to the bottom of criminal activity. And I'm going to say this. I believe in the rule of law. I believe that Justin Trudeau will one day possibly be charged. I'm not going to jump to conclusions, but let the evidence go and let it follow where it goes. But everyone, including the potential of these premiers of our province and the health czars, they need to be held accountable. We're going to let the evidence show where it goes. But I'll tell you one thing. For as long as I'm alive, and I hope that's for a while, I'm going to dedicate the rest of my life to making sure that every single adverse reaction victim in this country and others, we organize and we do it through the rule of law, and we get to the end and we hold the people criminally responsible. When we have that, and we push back on the globalists, and we got rid of the union bosses, and we have no mandates, and we have a commitment never again to go there, then we can have D-Day. Until then, I say, God bless you, and God bless Canada.
Yeah, so I have a couple people I want to introduce to you. A lot of people have been asking, Where are the other police officers? Right here. Come on up. You've been asking for them. They're here. And yeah, boy, you're here. You bet. So, I'm going to let them introduce themselves to you, but I want you to know, if you can hear me, that these guys are standing up, and there's more and more and more standing up with you guys as well. These are my brother and my sister, police officers. And I'm going to let them talk to you for a couple of minutes, and I think it's very important what they have to say.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having us. My name is Rick Abbott. I'm a current serving member of a major police agency in the province of Alberta that will remain nameless here today. If you can't tell, my partner here, some of you may recognize her from a recent video. Also works for a major police service in Alberta that will remain nameless here. We're on a little bit of thin ice up here doing this, but so are you out there. The reason why we're here today is because of you. We're current police officers. I've done this for over a quarter of a century now, and one of the main goals of the people I work for on the street is to make sure that they're lawfully placed. This is an important term that everybody here needs to understand. Lawful placement. I believe that the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms still stands. To my knowledge, there has been no court in Canada that has passed a test that says that the Charter can be circumvented. So, with lawful placement, because you're such beautiful, peaceful, loving Canadians, you can be here. We have a different twist on this, obviously. I need to keep my job because we need other police officers to see what beautiful people are down here today. So, my friends and colleagues who are on the other side of these trucks are also lawfully placed. Because you are peaceful, because you're here lawfully placed, they have nothing to do but walk around and smile and shake hands. So thank you. More and more of us are coming to the front here. Elena is probably going to get in a little bit of trouble for a little bit of video that she did. But I think everybody across the nation knows that the risk that she took was well worth the effort.
Lynn for president. Prime Minister.
We stand with Elena. So without further ado, thank you very much for coming. We'll talk more to you. We're not going anywhere this afternoon. Anybody who has questions about lawful placement, where my take, and this is my personal take, this is not my company's take, my take on where we get lawfully placed here, please stick around. We're not going anywhere. We're going to talk. In the meantime, I want to give the microphone to Elena because she has made a difference across this nation with that one video that she did. Thank you, Elena.
Hi, I'm Elena Golisheva, and I'm here I am here because I want to be here. It's my personal agenda to be here. If my employer had supported me, I would not be here. So I'm not here on behalf of my agency. I'm here because you guys have given me so much strength. Each and single one of us supports each other by writing letters, by pulling through, by trying to be like positive, by doing things, by supporting each other. Because when we were separated in the beginning, when we did not know that other people like with different questions, I would not say they're they and us, it's us. There are Christians who have different opinions, who have different skin color, who have accents, who don't, like we're us. It's like Canadians and refugees who chose Canada to be their country. That's why I am here, because I chose Canada to be my home, because I wanted to be free, I wanted to feel free, I wanted security, and I wanted to make the choices for my life and anything I wanted to do and follow the law. Following the law and feel free, that's what been the biggest kind of what like made me happy to be here. Not the winters of Canada, not the like cold that we like live here, but the freedom and the freedom of choice that we had here for until like 2 years ago. So I'm super uncomfortable speaking in public, but what you guys have made me feeling comfortable here. Those 100,000 views and about 400 comments I read, like they were all so positive. It overwhelmed me. I did not expect that reaction. I just followed the order of my heart when I recorded that video, seeing that police might be about to give an orders that I have questions with, and I wanted other police officers to have questions about that. It's not necessarily insubordination or anything. It's just supporting you guys, serving you, because that's what I've been doing for 13 years. I have not been doing this for salary is good. I'm not going to lie, but every day, 11 hours. That's what our shifts, 11 hours on and 11 hours off. We have like lunch breaks. In patrol, you skip lunch breaks and coffee breaks. When you see us in Tim Hortons, thank God we had a break. Because very often we skip it and we keep working, because I come across a collision and I see it minus 35, like people in cold, and there, though I was planning to go and have a lunch break, I stopped because I know like it's just my lunch break, but it's time and stress for those of you who guys struggle on the road. And the same with other investigations. I don't work for another day, another dollar. It's not my life. I work for making change every day. And if it's talking to a girl or a boy who felt suicidal for the last 2 years, I've seen lots of those. Talking to parents who have lost lots of support for like social services support, like therapy because of COVID restrictions and suffering from that. Lots of kids and youth like suicidal because they can't play hockey, they play like soccer. I've seen all of this and and all of this were because of the restrictions. Were very questionable restrictions, not because of some presumed disease. Thank you guys a lot. This is a party here, and we Canadians will stay together and we'll get through together. We're together.
Thank you, guys. Freedom! Suckers, let's hear those church bells. Freedom! Thank you, guys. Can we take a moment, please? I would like to take a moment to honor all of those in the frontline services who are true. I would like to take a moment for all of us to take a moment to reflect and pause, to appreciate all of those in the frontline services who are there to protect us and know that we are